One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Just so many hours you spent on the phone, I wasted here loving you. Now you gonna tell me that you're on your own, you're leaving me sad and blue. Just so many days you've been on my mind, you been stop trouble on down the line. Fool if I go, fool if I stay, tell you what I'm gonna do. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Tell you what I'm gonna do. Let it roll, let it glide, let it fall.
And howdy. And welcome to episode 36. Episode Brandon Sutherland. It's back when Georgia used to use a fullback. And they would never give a scholarship to a fullback, or rarely would they. Mm-hmm. But they would, a walk-on, typically from Prince Avenue Christian, some rich kid school where the parents didn't need a scholarship anyhow. Yeah. If that family had a fullback, come on board. But Brandon Sutherland was the last fullback that really captured my heart at the University of Georgia. Episode 36, we're here in the Trellis Carpenter Building, the 16th floor of that Trellis Carpenter Building, and we're here in the Timmy Tooper studio. We're really thinking about renaming the studio since we've changed floors, and also Timmy Tooper seems very disinterested in the studio. So we'd sell that. I'm talking about cheap. We'd sell the naming rights to this studio, even like to a corporate sponsor. Oh man, we'd sell the naming rights for $50 or $5 probably. But we'd sell that in the New York Minute. And Mr. Producer, first of all, let me say howdy and welcome to you. We've been on hiatus here for a little bit.
Thank you.
And our sponsor here today is whoop 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 whoop.
You're right on.
Right on, man. Man, I'm good at that. Okay, it's the local Waycross Dairy Queen. So let me brag on those guys for just a little while. As you know, I've lost some lbs. I've done that primarily. I will occasionally go get the old grilled chicken wrap. Other Dairy Queens have taken that off their menu, the grilled chicken wrap with just chicken and cheese. Huh. And a little snack wrap or whatever you want to call it. And Dairy Queen down here down the road, they still have it. And I'm very appreciative of that. And they have small ice. And it's hard to find that. And I'm very appreciative of their small ice. And so because of those two things, I say kudos to the Waycross Dairy Queen, and they are our sponsor today. Without their permission, they are our sponsor today. So thank you, Brenda and Chris. We appreciate everything that you guys do. Dairy Queen was one of those places that back in the way back days, when I used to play YMCA baseball, your go-to places like Dairy Queen always sponsored a team. Yeah. Lee Hardware always sponsored a team. Mm-hmm. Burger King, they'd flash their money. They'd have Burger King Red and Burger King Gold. Wow. They'd sponsor two teams. They're like, look at us. We're not just going to do one $50 sponsorship. We're going to do two. And Burger King was always real. Camera Electric, which is not even open anymore. Mm-hmm. They would always sponsor. If you can remember other names of YMCA baseball teams, if you could put them down in the comments below. My coach was Coach Dan Carl. This isn't even notes, but let's get into it. Man, I used to be a part of a swarming controversy every year at the YMCA. And here was the scoop. My daughter calls this the T. And I'll tag Dan Carl and Jeremy Carl. But Jeremy and I were best friends. And relative to back in those days, we were very good baseball players, but we went home together every day. And Jeremy's mom worked at the Y. And so magically, Jeremy and I ended up on the same team every year. People would complain about it. And, we're just like, it just randomly, it kind of happens. We can't control these kind of things. It's just how the gods of baseball have it. But for 7 straight years, Jeremy and Clay ended up on the same baseball team. And Mr. Dan Carl was always my coach. I couldn't even tie my shoes, but he had us out there timing our double plays at second base and that kind of stuff. So one of the best baseball coaches that I ever had. And he always made me pancakes. Friday night, I would spend the night with him because I would go to him to the ballpark because we'd be out taking ground balls at 6:30 in the morning, getting some big prep for the big day. Good night. And my parents weren't that interested in my sports life, but Mr. Carl was. And my parents, would come about 5 minutes before the game with the coffee in their hand, make sure that they were seen, and then kind of sneak back out to the car to say, "Hey, Clay, good game. Go home with Mr. Carl." Yeah. But to that end, what was I even talking about when I mentioned this? Sponsorship. So the controversy was all the parents got mad every year because how did I even get this linked into? Dairy Queen. I don't even know. But all the sponsorships and jerseys and playing Y baseball and that kind of thing. And so, but we were Camera Electric one year, and it was me and Jeremy, and then I can't remember the guy, the Morrison guy. Man, he's a great guy. Lives over in Homerville, Clinch County. And pitched in high school. Kevin Morrison, and we all ended up somehow on the same team, and we went through some. We went through some teams. One other thing that I'll give you as a memory, which nobody cares about this stuff, do they? Probably not. But
it's entertaining to somebody.
In the middle of an inning, they had me at second base. And then when we were playing, Jeremy was pitching, one of the better players came up. So in the middle of an inning, because your right fielder and center fielder back in those days, they just really stink. So you had to put them somewhere out in the outfield.
Yeah.
Mr. Carl tried to switch me to center field in the middle of a game and bring in the old sorry player into second base. And Jim Hooker was just like, nope, I'm not allowing that, which is something you can do. But he's just like, that's not a sportsmanship thing to do. Don't make that poor kid, come. Mr. Carl, he didn't care. We were about the W back then. We were about the W. Okay. So with that being said, we thank Dairy Queen. Man, I'm all over the place. I'm like shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
So today, Mr. Producer, we're going to go through 10 rapid fire things.
I'm ready.
I don't know that we'll ever get to 10, but 10 rapid fire things. And let's go this. Listen, I've been pulling away from the sports, but this is the heart of the sports season. The World Series is about to kick off. College football. Georgia's about to play Alabama. All this kind of stuff. So I can't just ignore it. No. So ladies, it's going to be rapid fire. So just hang in there and we'll get you to the next one. But right off the bat, does Dan Mullen not have, a man that makes $3 to $4 million a year, do they not have somebody at the University of Florida that is a sports information director that will just like whisper in his ears like, hey, idiot, you can't say that. You cannot say that on national television. And so he last week, after getting his butt stomped by Texas A&M, he seemed to indicate that the reason Texas A&M won is because they actually allowed more fans than probably should have been there at the game, and it was loud and they weren't used to it. So he wanted to make sure that the University of Florida followed the governor's I don't know if you've seen this recommendation, and we need to pack the swamp. We need 90,000 people back in the swamp.
Wow.
So the first time they lose, they're going to blame it somehow or another on COVID fan protocol, and then he's going to insist that the next week that we have 90,000 people at the University of Florida watching our football game. So guess what happens with Florida?
What's that?
Their whole team this week breaks down with a huge COVID outbreak.
Oh, man.
And so now he's got to eat all of these words about how the University of Florida is not even supporting his program and the fan, this kind of stuff. But he says things, and you can tell. Now, is he magical with a quarterback? Can he make a quarterback do things and really progress a quarterback like Noah? Yes. But you know what you call that? You call that an offensive coordinator or quarterback's coach.
Yeah.
Not a head football coach of one of the 5 top programs on planet Earth. Dan Mullen is an imbecile. That's strong, isn't it? It's a little strong.
It is, but it sounds right.
It sounds right, and I take that back, Coach Mullen. Not an imbecile, but times acts like an imbecile.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a whole lot better, really. Okay, that's number one. Dan Mullen is an imbecile. Number 2, I have been fairly harsh on our president. I'm more conservative than he is. People have been tricked into thinking that he's a conservative, and he's not. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm going to say you've done something well, and I want to congratulate ACB, Amy Coney Barrett. Am I saying her name right? I have let's see.
I think that's right.
That's the new Amy Coney Barrett. Yeah, is I think will be as good a Supreme Court justice we've ever had. Since she used to clerk for Scalia, I'm a big Scalia fan. She's going to be just as good. Great pick. And people say, well, it's important that we elect him because of the Supreme Court justices that he selected. Well, the first one that he selected, Kavanaugh, he's gone with the left side just as much as the right side in his decisions, but people don't really keep up with that kind of stuff. They just, but this lady, and here's the thing that I love the most. She was at Notre Dame, which is a fairly known for their academics, but that's where she went to law school. And they have a famous left-wing liberal professor out there of the law school, and this is what he said. His name's Feldman, I think. Feldman, yeah. This is what Feldman said. I disagree with much of her judicial philosophy and expect to disagree with many, maybe even most, of her future votes and opinions. he wrote of ACB, I like to call her. Yet despite this disagreement, I know her to be a brilliant and conscientious lawyer who will analyze and decide cases in good faith, applying the jurisprudential, principles to which she is committed. Those are the basic criteria for being a good justice. Barrett meets and exceeds them. And they say he's the most left-wing guy up. They said, listen, but I taught this girl. She's sharp. And so if you go back to Ginsburg, who I would differ with from her positions on probably the great majority of things, she won but she was approved 96-4 in the Senate. And what they said was, listen, we do definitely disagree with her, but she meets qualifications to sit on the Supreme Court. We cannot stop her. But now we're in a different era. But ACB is somebody who I think has been a phenomenal pick. So President Trump, I find this to salute you for, and I'm very appreciative of, although you've fooled most of America into thinking that Justice Kavanaugh is a conservative, which he's not either, nor are you, sir. All right, so that's number 2.
There we go.
Then number 3, let's go to, I put that down twice. So now my numbers are going to be really out of order. So let's talk about this one real quick. Nick Saban. We're going to go right back to sports.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this?
No.
You know who Nick Saban is, though?
I do.
Coach has COVID. Alabama plays Georgia this weekend, and he has COVID. So I still think they'll play the game. But the interesting question is 21 games in a row, Nick Saban's assistant coaches that used to work for him have been defeated by Nick Saban, 21 in a row. So an assistant coach that has coached for Nick Saban has never beat him. So the question comes is, if Kirby beats him this weekend, does that count? He won't be on the sideline. Can I tell you something? Georgia's not going to win. So it's not going to matter. But at the same time, that is an interesting kind of question. Does it count?
Well, if he's not on the sideline, maybe this could be.
Maybe
this could be our best.
This could be our big break. I don't think Georgia's going to win. Certainly, I'll be pulling for him harder than anybody. There is a lot of talk on sports radio that says Kirby doesn't care if he wins and Nick's on he's not worried about beating that streak and all of that. That's baloney. Now, Kirby would never admit to that, but privately, would he like to be the first assistant coach to beat? Yes. And these guys that are saying on sports, that means nothing to Kirby. They're kidding themselves.
Yeah.
And Kirby's smart enough not to say that on national TV. Dan Mullen would. Dan Mullen would say something that idiotic, but not Kirby. And so, with that being said, Coach Saban. Now, the other thing is that he really doesn't have COVID. This is a conspiracy theory, and there's people out there right now that
conspiracy theories abound
more than ever. That people believe Bill Gates' ultimate goal in this world is to implant something in my arm. That's their and that's. You just look at me like, well, I don't even understand what you're saying. Yeah, you shouldn't understand this. That daggone crazy.
No, I do. No, I believe it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, thanks for putting me. But anyhow, and that Nick Saban really doesn't have COVID, but he's scared to play Georgia. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, that
is ridiculous. That is so far fetched. The only thing
an imbecile must have said that.
An imbecile must have said that. You know what Dan Mullen's thinking right now? I wonder if Nick Saban really has COVID. That's what Dan Mullen's thinking right there. But then again, I've already called him an imbecile, which is very inappropriate. And my apologies.
And this would be right along that line, though.
That is correct. Along the lines of sports, which I know you are not a fan of, and to some degree, that's why I steer away from sports a little bit. And the majority of our listeners are female. I think about 60-40.
Yeah.
And they've let us know. Could you talk a little bit?
It is mostly 60-40. It's more like 62.
62-38.
It's going up to 62.
Is that what the data indicates?
Yeah.
Is that what Woody's found for us over there?
Yeah, Woody reported that and went to sleep.
But on the Braves, if we can get to it just a little bit. So they won 2 games, best of 7 series, just letting the folks know at home. If you don't know this, you should be ashamed and you're un-American. But it's a best of 7 series. They won the first 2, but yesterday had 11 runs scored on them in the first inning.
Ooh.
And so that one did not go particularly well. So we're up 2-1. Now, what people are saying is, listen, they're still up 2-1, and whether you get beat by 1 run or 15 runs, it doesn't really matter. That could be that is not the truth at all. A team that gets that kind of momentum, that scores 11 runs on you in 1 inning, you've got to begin to wonder, have the wheels begun to fall off the bus? Let me press my cough button. Do you know that they have those?
I do.
A cough
Yeah.
button in real.
Yeah.
My cough button
We
didn't work.
we could have one.
Yeah, I know. I'll just turn my head if that's okay with you. Because, our budget for this studio, I think, was $289, and we've exceeded that budget.
Cut the cough button.
Yeah. So, but anyhow, the Braves, I mean, you just got to call it. Like, I love the Braves. I'm pulling for. I can see my Braves bobbleheads back there in the back. And matter of fact, the Braves bobblehead that I'm looking at, he's horrible. It's faulty. He's not even on the team anymore and is pitching down in Double-A or something. But the Braves, they're gonna lose in 7 games. And I hate to tell you that. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope the next time that we meet, because if they go to the World Series, I'm going. Can I tell you something? My brother, I've tried to train him. It's hard to train an older brother. That's not my job. He should be training me. He's the older brother. He's almost untrainable. I sent him a text the other night. It says, if the Braves go to the World Series, we're going. No response.
No response.
Crickets. What does that mean? What kind of camaraderie is that?
That's not very much.
And so, you know what I gave him back as the response? I gave him back the crickets emoji. Do you know what he responded to that?
Was that
Absolutely nothing.
nothing?
Yeah.
It's almost like he's blocked you or something.
Well, if we had a pie chart of the number of times that I reach out to my brother or he reaches out to me, 90-10. And I'm being generous. 90-10.
Mm-hmm.
If that phone right there, if it rings and it has the name Banks Thomas across it, I'm just like, oh, dear Lord, what emergency has happened?
Yeah.
Because he ain't calling me to just say, hey, man, hey, Bubba, just pulling for you today. That's me. All heart. That's the younger brother. I got nothing from him. Trying to invite him to a Braves game. What do I get?
Nothing.
Crickets.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing to this day. So I would invite you, but you hate sports.
I don't hate sports.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was strong too. And you're and you're not an imbecile either. You're not an imbecile.
Thank you for that.
I'm sorry. I'm shot out of can. So Braves, I'm afraid are going to fall in 7 to the Dodgers. This is number on our list, number 6.
6.
Who cares? Whatever. That's 5.5.
I was going to go with 6.
Let's go with SPLOST for a second. We should not do this. You want to talk about people that got strong? Here's the deal about SPLOST. I'm just going to correct people. All right, this is education. People have said, well, they raised our property taxes. And I was like, well, no, did they raise the assessment of your home? Yes. And they says, well, that's the same thing as them raising our property. That's not the case. You can raise the assessment on everybody's home to put it at what should be a fair market value. And if it's not, there's ways that you go and contest that it's not at fair market value. And I think we've covered this before, but I tell you about the guy that just bought his house for $200,000 and they assessed his house at $200,000 and he went and argued that his house wasn't worth $200,000, but he had just bought it for $200,000
Wow.
30 days before they assessed it for that. And I was like, well, what's your argument that it's not worth $200,000? And he just like, well, I just think that's crazy. They went up $30,000. I said, well, then you must be crazy because you just paid $200,000 for it.
Yeah.
So you're the problem. So I want to say this, though. A lot of citizens in our community do not contribute to our tax burden because they don't pay property taxes.
Yeah.
They're renters. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a renter whatsoever. Don't misunderstand that whatsoever. But those guys don't have to pay property taxes. And so they're not assisting with our tax burden. And people were going to say, yeah, it doesn't matter though, because if we pass this SPLOST, they're still going to raise our property taxes. Not if you vote them out of office. Just hold them accountable. Yeah. Just say, hey, just want to let you guys know you're my neighbor and you're my friend and you go to church with me and you used to teach me in Sunday school. I mean, we know all of our commissioners love you. This isn't personal, but you raise those property taxes. You raise the millage rate. We will kick you out of office.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple. You just hold them accountable. Now,
sounds simple.
If you don't want them to raise, you make them accountable for that. But to say because they're going to do it anyway, I'm not going to vote for a special purpose local option sales tax, which is a SPLOST, just says, all right, well, then they're going to dump that expense right back on the property taxes as well. So property owners are going to get hit with it. Get people that don't pay into the system. The only way for them to participate in that, in a great, I shouldn't say that, in a great extent, is through that special purpose local option sales tax. And then if people say, well, yeah, but they don't spend it wisely. Well, that's your fault. You elected them. Go kick them out of office if they don't spend it wisely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what you got to say about that, Dan Mullen? You know, so
He got nothing good to say.
on SPLOST, everybody says, I'm never voting for a tax. Well, yeah, you are. If you don't vote for SPLOST, you just voted for them to increase they're going. If you make that argument, they're going to get you one way or the other.
Yeah.
And if not, then hold them accountable. But if you say, but listen, I understand these things have to be paid for. What's the fairest way for these things to be paid for? Is for everyone to participate, and not just the property owners, but everyone, and that's through SPLOST. And so that's the part of this that really, really frustrates me. And there's somebody right now that's saying, Clay, it doesn't matter. They're going to raise our property taxes anyway. They can't do that if you kick them out of office. Kick them out of office, put people in that'll hold the millage rate. All right, that's free. I'm not going to charge people. That should be a seminar where I charge people for that kind of information.
That's right.
But I'm not. This is free at the Clay and Woodrow Show, sponsored by Dairy Queen of Waycross. Okay, here's the next thing on my list. You want to say something? Not really, are you?
No. Well, I was going to say too. Also, another argument for that would be that people outsiders will also share that tax burden as well.
Have you been to Walmart, Georgia?
Yeah.
When those people are slinging through there,
A lot of out-of-town people.
they can help us pay for the things that need to be done. And then people are going to say, well, they're not even spending it on things that need to be done. Yeah, they are. You put them in office. You control that. You control that. Stop being so lazy and say, no, they're doing things I want them to do because I put them into office. This county put them into office. So anyhow, but you are correct. That's a very good point. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, that's my point for today.
Yeah, good job. Next thing, and most importantly, now this one's more serious. Okay, so this one's more, I want to handle this one more carefully. But there's things that there is an occupation that somebody does this for a living. Horse chiropractors. Now, in the world that we live in today, where everyone is so sensitive, there's somebody that is about to type in down here, if they've made it this long in the program. Clay, my horse had the worst sleep apnea, and until the horse chiropractor came, do we really need horse chiropractors? Now, I'm not dare brave enough to say, do we need chiropractors? Okay, because there's some people with some strong feelings, about that. And I'm not weighing in on that. I'm not that brave. But do we need horse chiropractors? And then I would say, if that's the case, do we not need? If the answer is yes, let's follow this. Yes, we need horse chiropractors. Then do we need turtle chiropractors? Dog chiropractors. Woody
said,
Woody's,
he votes for that.
So. And I'm here to tell you, horse, and if you will, I'm trying to keep a straight face because somebody right now is fuming because of how much they believe in horse chiropractors. But if you will watch an appointment when a grown man walks up to a horse and grabs him by the side and kind of by the neck and goes, yeah, I could feel the release. I could feel and the dumb owner of the horse is standing back behind him and just going, yeah, I can see it in his eyes. He already feels better.
That's just what he needed.
It's just what he needed was a horse chiropractor to come and, let's go ahead and do it. Not too long ago, not local, okay? An ad came out in the Jacksonville area of this family, and they were chiropractors, and it talked about how chiropractors could also improve your vision. But as a part of that ad, they had their family pictured, and all of their children wore glasses. So that to me was it's ironic, and it's very poor marketing. Okay.
Yeah.
And I know plenty of people that appreciate chiropractic. Chiropractory. I don't know what I'm talking about. The utilization of a chiropractor.
Yes.
I don't question that at all. There's people that swear by them, and so I'm just saying if they swear by them, I believe those folks. That's not my issue. It's not chiropractory. It's not, what am I saying? The practice of being I have no idea what I'm saying. I don't have an issue with that. I think I have an issue with horse chiropractors. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm on the record that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
A lot of on the records today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got a lot of strong feelings today as well. I think that was
Seems like a highly specialized field.
yeah, I believe so. It's like, well, I went to horse chiropractic school, but I flunked out and had to go to turtle chiropractic school, and I feel more comfortable there. Adjusting their shells or just, but you can get on YouTube because I'm embarrassed to tell you I spent about 30 minutes laughing hysterically at horse chiropractors at appointments. But them, it's not just their medical, their actual physical. You getting to watch them do it, it's hysterical. But them looking at the owners and trying to explain, this is why you're getting your money's worth. I could feel it loosen up. I could feel it. And the horse is just looking at the guy like,
what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm 900 pounds. You just leaned against my side. You did absolutely nothing for me, but could you get that woman's $100 and get out of here?
Right.
Horse chiropractor. I'm going to talk to my kids today, see if they have any interest in that career.
Huh.
I think that was item number 13, 14. I don't know where we're at.
We're at number 9.
Next on this is it's been a little while since I've gone back to watch a show. Can I tell you the number one thing that I'm learning from this show? I'm losing my hair rapidly. Let's do a quick.
Yeah.
Can people get that on the show by show by show? I can see it. I'm becoming an old. You can tell I'm becoming an old man because I'm becoming a curmudgeon, and I'm screaming out things about horse chiropractors.
Especially today.
Yeah, and Dan Mullen. I'm getting mad about Dan Mullen and horse chiropractors. So I'm definitely becoming an old curmudgeon. But just knowing my DNA and my genetics, I was destined for that anyway. But I will say people in my family had particularly good hair. Not me. Can I tell you something that makes me feel a little bit better?
What's that?
My brother's worse off than I am.
Yeah, that's got to feel.
Yeah.
That's got to make you feel better.
But he's 2 years ahead of me. So every time I see him, I just look. I was just, oh, man.
You're looking in the
is that what's going to be in 2 years?
the future.
Yeah. We're not, my brother and I, we're just not attractive people to begin with. Okay? But us losing hair, not helping our circumstances whatsoever. Let's see. Did I cover it all? Dan Mullen's an imbecile. ACB, good pick. Kudos to the Cheeto. SPLOST, it's the fair tax, and if you don't like it, whatever. I'm not going over that again. I'll have to get my blood pressure. Saban does have COVID. He's not faking it.
He's not scared.
I don't think he's scared of Georgia. You want me to give you a score of that? I know you do.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Alabama 31. No, that's not right. Alabama can't score that many points on that defense. Alabama 24, Dogs 13. No, that's not right because Georgia can score on that. Alabama 31, Georgia 28. 31-28. That's my final call.
Oh, that's close.
Alabama is going to win. And I don't want that. I do not want that. And then the Braves. I don't have much good news for Georgia sports. Braves are going to lose in 7 against the Dodgers. Everyone needs a horse chiropractor. If you don't own a horse, you need a horse chiropractor in your life.
Right.
And then I'm balding. What do you have before we close? Anything at all?
Oh man, I'm just processing all these points.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot of life lessons today.
Yeah. This is kind of a day that you just kind of have to consume it, digest it, and become one with it.
Yeah.
You get that?
Yeah, I got it.
become one with it. Do some yoga over this today. Good seeing you today. Sorry we've been out for a little while. Episode 36 of the Clay and Woodrow Show is signing off. You guys have a great weekend. Take care.
Off the side, let her go, let it ride.